Hello again. WildDiscipline here again, one more time tonight, I think. I just wanted to give a little more than just an introduction. Like I said, the first video was really more of a test to see if it would actually reach the channel itself, and if if it would be received. And I feel confident enough with my webcam now, so I might as well. Before sleeping, as it's rather late here. Before sleeping, I suppose I'd, pardon the noise. Before sleeping, I'd track some of my thoughts. So, in this video, I think I'll keep it fairly short. I think I'll start off by talking about historically, first historically, and then the present generation of athletes that have stood out to me, have meant something to me, and who I felt led their respective generations, and in the context of this generation, will definitely lead into tomorrow. So, going far enough back, as I said before, I was brought more or less into the Puro Birth family when I kind of followed Chris Benoit's career over to New Japan Pro Wrestling in the junior division. I saw a majority of the 1994 Super J Cup tournament, and being a kid who grew up watching, American wrestling, it was incredible that not only the work rate and like the sheer bumps that they would take, but just to see the junior heavyweight man really showcased was very admirable. So I obviously saw many great New Japan Pro Wrestling bouts from the Wild Pace's Chris Benoit. My favorites of which, of course, would be the tournament finals against the Great Sasuke for the 1994 Super J Cup finals. That match is incredible. It's 5 stars for a reason. It's quite possibly my favorite match of all time. Just the atmosphere and the personification of Chris Benoit. Man, I always followed. I suppose I might get some hateful comments towards the late Benoit. I hope not, but I can certainly attribute the man to opening my doors to the Orient, which I fell in love with very instantly. Of course, I became well acquainted with sort of the powerhouse juniors of the time, Jushin Thunder Liger, Ultimo Dragon, the Great Sasuke, Hayabusa, Shinzaki Jinsei, Taka Michinoku, Shinjiro Tani, Takaiwa Tatsuhito, Tanaka Minoru, Kanemoto Koji. Just regardless of the situation, tag match, singles match. I definitely felt at home with the New Japan Pro Wrestling Juniors division. Probably more than anything at first. This was a couple years ago. I didn't fully branch out into Japanese wrestling until I was more or less old enough. I had my own computer, my own personal space, so I could obviously devote more time to watching more protests, and of course I took advantage of that as soon as I could. My first venture into the mainstream of Japanese pro wrestling in a modern sense, semi-modern sense. I didn't start like the same year I was watching. I started off with Noah, more or less. The first large series of matches that I watched were matches between and involving Motofuji Naomichi and Kenta. I think that's just a great place for a lot of people to start. To be honest, over the last year and a half, 2 years, I admit I've honestly gotten tired of both of those men to a certain extent. Kenta is just an amazing worker, but honestly speaking, the matches that I love Kenta most are the matches where a heavyweight is just knocking the shit out of him. Without question, I think that's honestly his biggest strength. He's like a monster in his division. He's sort of like I guess like a low key of. I'm not an ROH fan, but more or less a low key of Noah's junior division. Not entirely comparable, but sort of that guy who, you just can't lose in his own weight class, and sometimes even venturing out of it. But, just matches where, Takayama Morishima, Sano, Kobashi Misawa, what have you. Those were the matches I loved watching of Kenta. I think my favorite... Actually, my favorite Kenta match in Kenta's legacy thus far has got to be the Dome show of, I believe it was 05, I think. I could be wrong. Against Kanemaru Yoshinobu. Seriously. Honestly, I don't think this guy gets enough credit. I know he's had too many title runs, but people rarely speak of the guy. I know Brainbuster City, what have you. He's fucking amazing. Those two had an amazing match. Really, just the atmosphere, the camera angles. Fuck, I haven't seen many matches with camera angles as awesome as that match. The high spots, etc. Just fucking amazing match. I don't want to start to rant. Sorry, guys. Okay, historically speaking, I think I made it. Anyone who goes to my channel will, instantly see my love for the legendary Kobashi Kenta. Kobashi Kenta is, with the Wild Pegasus Chris Benoit and Kobashi Kenta, from their respective weight classes, are hands down my just all-time favorite in-ring performers. Not gonna place one above the other. I can't. For the old timers, Tenryu Genichiro, love his work even in his old age. Just fantastic, methodical. Really makes you, he really makes me appreciate the old style of professional wrestling, and believe me, I already did. I've seen plenty of NWA stuff, even as a younger lad, but Tenryu Genichiro, fantastic. The late legendary Dr. Death, Steve Williams, by far my favorite Western, and in this case Gaijin heavyweight competitor. Just amazing. I'm not going to go on the same tirade that so many people go on. I'm not going to claim that, I followed his career, or I was his biggest fan, or, but cliches aside, truly a legendary man who certainly did not deserve his end. But he had one hell of a career. If there's any other match that could contend for the Great Sasuke Wild Pegasus bout in 1994, or the beginning of 95, it might have been in January 95, the Super J Cup Finals, if there's any match that could contend with that, it would have to be the 5-star classic, Dr. Death Steve Williams versus Kobashi Kenta. That match is amazing. I'll probably end up doing an individual video on both of those matches, but for now, just incredible stuff. In terms of Tenryu, by far my favorite Tenryu match of all time is his 5-star with Jumbo Tsuruta, who is also, of course, amazing. For Joshi, if you the female competitors of Japanese wrestling, historically and present, just Uh, I love, how could I say no to any Manami Toyota Manami matches. She's amazing. Hokoto Akira, now the the present day wife of Sasaki Kensuke, who is another man that I hold in very high regard. Um, uh, yeah, I would have to place, in terms of Josh competitors, I would have to, my favorite of all the bouts, of all the women, of all the incredible performances that I've seen out of the female Japanese competitors historically and present, Inoue Kyoko. I love Maname. She's got a really, really strong following. But Inoue Kyoko, she's just amazing. Um, I guess, if for those of you who don't know her, she's the innovator of the actual burning hammer. She called it the Victoria driver. But let's not make this light. Okay, pardon me, drag. So I'll touch base far more on the on my historical preferences of professional wrestling. I won't venture too far outside of Japan. I'll just say that now. I will eventually, but they'll likely be critical videos. Alright, leaders of the new generation. Without stating the obvious, you know, actually no, let's state the obvious just to get it out there. Though I'm sure majority of the people who are going to find this will agree. Of course, you know, we have Tanahashi Hiroshi, which most people consider pretty much the face or the leader of this generation. And to be fair, I don't say that based on New Japan Pro Wrestling's, you know, economic, financial successes. That's not what I base it on. Simply, although that's certainly attributed to it, because, you know, the attention has to come from somewhere. But certainly, you know, Tanahashi Hiroshi and Nakamura Shinsuke, of course, are two of the most, you know, spectacled individuals in in the professional wrestling industry in Japan right now. And I'm talking media, I'm talking, you know, renown, etc. There are not many young men who are as widely known. Perhaps I'm assuming too much, but they're certainly two of the most popular. You know, they're kind of the newer, you know, immovable object meets the, you know, how did that old cliche go? The, whatever. just the classic old conflict of, you know, we've seen it so many times before, Tenryu and Tsuruta Misawa and Kobashi Misawa Kawada, that kind of showdown. And sort of the modern equivalent of many of those things, I suppose, not to put too much weight on their shoulders. But my personal favorites, and definitely men that are already near the forefront of the newer generation of, and I'm not going to restrict this. I'm not going to restrict this to heavyweights. I find that really unfair, to be honest. Pardon me. Sekimoto Daisuke. I've mentioned him before. Sekimoto Daisuke is phenomenal. Sasaki Yoshihiro. Pardon me, guys. Of course, Morishima Tageshi and Go Shiozaki are awesome. Shiozaki Go, pardon me, are awesome. I'd be lying if I said I was on the Sugiura bandwagon. But I think we'll leave it at that for tonight, or for this video rather. I'll make a follow-up on the current generation and my hopes, my favorites, my opinions, etc. So this is just sort of I suppose a personal pretext video. I don't expect this to get a lot of views, but hey, I wanted to provide a little more than I originally had, so thank you very much, guys. Good night.